What's good? It's Brittany Sunshyne. Welcome to Flower and Fire, where we revelate, reflect, and remember to dig deep as we keep each other company along the way. And don't forget to believe in your daydreams. Let's dive in. What an amazing day to lay hold of the revelation that the exceedingly, the abundantly, the far above anything you could ask, think, or imagine is truly available. A Russian physicist studied this and refers to it as reality transurfing. And it makes perfect sense. Because if you read the word, it's like, doesn't it seem contradictory? It's like, how are we all going to be healed and well and live in the finished work while there's also going to be wars and rumors of wars, while also there's going to be wailing and gnashing of teeth, but then there's also going to be, abundance, and it's like, it seems contradictory. But when you start to look through it, the lens of, and then also some people look at it as a timeline, which, by the way, I don't know, I do believe that there are periods of revelation. What is it called it's called dispensations. Anyway, so I do believe that, there's chunks of time with which, layers of revelation are revealed through the evolution of the human mind and through the, increasing light that is let in. But the other thing is that time is spherical. It's not linear. Learned this from one of my life's greatest relationships, greatest mentors, somebody who took me in as family as well as but started as, a professor, good, healthy love, not anything weird, which, by the way, how random, how unique is that? Kudos to him. Anyway, love you, Papa Lou. But I remember sitting in his class when I very first met him, and I was just sitting there just feasting on what he would teach because it was so fascinating, and talking about how time is spherical and not linear. And then it started, if you look around too, you can see there are different places and locations on this planet that are living at all the different levels of evolution. And when I say evolution, I'm not talking about monkeys into humans. I'm talking about evolving from cavemen to technology. So the whole spectrum is already actually here and present and accounted for, which also means, and that can freak you out or it can inspire hope, one or the other. But it also, I genuinely believe that you can attune to the frequency of, and the reality. You can transfer reality to the timeline just by switching your radio station in your way of being. I have this written up on my wall. What does it say? It says something about creation doesn't respond to what you think and feel, but who you are being. And don't get me wrong, thinking and feeling, those are both two key components. But the thinking and the feeling sustained is who you are being. And so that's why, on one hand, it's the awesome news about that is we don't have to panic when we have a rough day and we're going through it. I always got confused at that. I'm like, if I'm supposed to stay on this, high vibe, high energy, high hopes, what happens when something creeps up and knocks me over and emotionally sends me for a loop? So the good news is that, Quasi talks about where, and he learned from all sorts of sources, but he's done a phenomenal job of summarizing all of these different concepts. So shout out to Quasi Joe here for being the ultimate student and then an excellent teacher. So anyway, talks about, I even asked him, I'm like, if I am going through it, he's like, just go through it, like, let it be, and being the observer, realizing that you are an eternal soul going through this life experience in the vessel of the human body, but it's not, it doesn't contain you, the body doesn't, like, you're bigger than that. But also honoring the experience while also not becoming a victim to it. It is a balance, and there's definitely strategy to it. But with reality transurfing, why wouldn't we just choose the best? And I was just talking with a friend about when you can choose anything, it actually becomes apparent how difficult it is to actually choose. Like, there's so many choices. Which one do you want? What one do you want to go down that road? But it's important to choose. And the observer effect in quantum physics is why it's important to choose, because the observer effect still blows my mind, and I'm not going to pretend like I half understand it, but the gist of it, as far as I do understand, and I could be wrong, but what I think I understand about it is that, everything breaks down into particles. So there's all these electrons running around, and they're in particles. And then when they're being observed, they line up because, and this is the thing, they have consciousness. It's like, so what made them think that what made them know that they're expected to be lining up? You know what I'm saying? How did they know that they're supposed to be lining up? Because then when they're not being observed, they would bounce around as particles again. But then when they were it's kind of reminds me of like a parent and kids, like they're supposed to be in bed, and then when you leave the room, they're up and at 'em, and then when you go back in the room, they're back in bed, but that they're running around when you're not in there. So that's why what you focus on expands, because when it says that all of creation is awaiting the revelation of the sons and daughters, it's because all of the electrons, and okay, this might be a bad reference because I haven't really watched the whole movie. I don't really know what it's about. So don't judge me, don't stone me. But the little characters of the minions, the way that they just kind of bounce around, boop, 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 and they're kind of just like all over the place, but they're also helpers, right? It's kind of like how I picture the electrons. Like, they're here to serve. And when you have the discipline to be a good leader over them and tell them what to do and focus long enough and stay with the vision long enough that they can read the map of your brain, of your thoughts, of what you're focusing on. If you stick with it long enough, then they'll stick with it long enough. And they're only going to be as strong as their leader, which is you. And the reason I think of them like the electrons, like of the little minions, is because they will deliver sometimes in the most cut corner kind of ways. And so you have to be extremely specific. And it's not necessarily malicious or at all. Like, it's just they'll find a way to deliver the request in the most easily accessible, convenient way. So here's a funny one. A funny one is I was just dreaming huge, like I always do. And I was dreaming about a piece of property that I had, and it's important to include sensory details when you're dreaming, and I'm writing this all down. I'm scripting it. So I'm writing down, I love my serene, peaceful, beautiful piece of property. I can hear the water flowing by. And in my mind's eye, I'm picturing like a stream. But what's so funny is I didn't necessarily specify that on the paper. And what ended up working out as the perfect next step, by the way. It's such a perfect next step. I'm in like this amazing place in my life right now. I do not want to move again. It's funny, I actually kind of stopped scripting about my future because it happened so fast and so efficiently that I'm like, if I keep sending this out, it's going to happen like right now, and I'm not ready. Like, I don't want to move again. I freaking just moved. I love where we live. I love our lifestyle. Like, I love like all of the attributes of our life, and I don't freaking want to move again right now. So like, I better stop writing this down or it might happen. It just happened all really relatively quickly. And so anyway, what's so funny though is where we live in like multi-family dwelling, whatever you want to call that. And, but yeah, our home is big and just the right size for us. Like, I don't need any more home to clean, you know. We have the perfect amount of outdoor space. We have a pool, basketball court, you know, lots of amenities, security at email's reach. Like, who has security at email's reach? Like, that's practically better than the police these days. Because, I don't know, if you're in a blue state like I am, they spend a lot of time trying to defund those guys, so they don't always show up or answer, and it takes a long time to get through. So anyway, like, it's amazing the level of amenities, and those are things that I wrote down. And but what's funny though is that the way that the plumbing is set up here, sometimes I can hear the water flowing by, and it's just this beautiful trickling sound, just like I imagined. But it's not a creek, you know, or a stream. It's just water flowing through pipes. So it's so funny because when that happened, like light bulb moment, I was like, oh my gosh, I wrote that and it sounds just like it. And yet it wasn't exactly what I meant, you know? So that's one of the ways that I was saying, be very specific. Because the little electron minions are running around to serve. All of creation is awaiting for the revelation that you are here to direct things. Like, you are the conductor. And you ought to be using your life and the energy within you, the spirit of the living God that you're made in the image of, you know? Like, you are, you know, depending on what narrative you come from, please don't be turned off. I'm called to speak to multiple narrative backgrounds. So I just hope that you will not be offended and that you would not ever allow offense to get in the way of revelation. And if you don't get revelation here, then go somewhere else. There's probably a different place on the path that's for you. So anyway, but yeah, we're the lineage of, you know, the king. Like, it's like, you are it. You're the lineage of the king. Like, you're the lineage of the creator. So just like our creator can speak things into being and imagine things into being, so can we. And how to do it is through the understanding of quantum physics and these universal laws that, I don't know about you, but I grew up being told that they were evil. And what's wild about it is that's a straight up freaking lie. It makes me livid because there are people's lives that are counting on this. There are people's lives that need to know how to reality transurf quantum leap into sobriety, identity shift into self-control. And you, religion, are telling these people that this stuff is evil? How dare you? Get thee behind me, Satan. Them are fighting words. Like, there's people's real lives on the line. People are losing their kids and losing their jobs and losing their freedom because they don't know how to get a hold of their own selves. And we're just telling them to go to church and like receive prayer, but we're not giving them any of the actual tools of how to apply the finished work. This is a big deal. This is a big deal. And any pastor that knowingly knows about this stuff and doesn't teach it, ooh-wee. I can see Yahushua kicking tables over already. Okay? So anyway, don't get me wrong, it took me several years to figure out if this was right or if I was wrong or whatever. My entire life had to explode and burn down while I was safely kept in the sanctuary of a church that didn't have the full story. So, not that they all don't. There's no way I could speak to every single thing as a whole. But let's get back to the exciting good stuff. So the good stuff is that the electrons are just kind of bouncing around off the walls, just waiting for you to direct them, waiting for you to tell them what to do, how to line up, what to bring, what to pull together, So when you get a bill in the mail, instead of going on the emotional roller coaster or the panic freak out of, oh my gosh, how am I going to pay that? I don't know. My money is already spoken for. You just say, oh my gosh, I am so thankful that I have a whole divine team of electrons that is in creation that's just awaiting for a job to do. So I'm so grateful. Hey guys, bring together the finances to make this handled according to the highest good, while I am able to maintain my peace and privacy and freedom. I've gotten real specific with my stuff. The reason I say that real quick, one of the things that I used to write down is I would write down, I'm so grateful I'm more than enough help with my kids. Because my husband was one of those people that ended up far off the rails as he leaned into the wrong identity, into an identity that's completely toxic. And anyway, a lot of this stuff I didn't learn exactly, until later. But so I'd write, I'm so grateful that I have so much help with my kids, more than enough help. And I didn't really know what that meant. So anyway, one of the forms that help showed up was like an old relationship that I had. And this person was amazing and we always had fun, but there's just this chaos that's connected with that person. This chaos, this inability to get ahead of the game, and just this constant chaos. I don't even know what it is. The point is, though, even the help that was being brought by that person, and this person was very helpful. Take my garbage out, clean my kitchen, help me with the laundry, help me with the boys, help me, just like I'd asked. But the chaos that came with the frequency of that person wasn't even worth it. I was like, I'll take my own garbage to have the peace of not having to deal with your freaking toxic frequency. I don't know what is going on right there, but I don't want it. So anyway, learning to be really specific with the requests, because the request will be fulfilled, but sometimes it's not like the way that it happens is not worth it. I saw a comment on another video where the girl was like, be specific, because she's like, I wrote down that my boyfriend got a new truck, this girl says. And she says, I wrote that my boyfriend got a new truck or something. She's like, and then next thing you know, his car gets stolen, his current car gets stolen, and the insurance pays for it. So sure enough, he got a new truck. She's like, that's not exactly what I meant. And you can imagine how disrupting and inconvenient it would be to have your vehicle stolen. Like, there's probably stuff in there that he needed or wanted. It's definitely inconvenient if you have a routine, like you go to work or whatever, and now you have to hurry and go find another vehicle. Like, maybe he would have wanted the luxury of being able to take his time searching, like choosing. So anyway, those are the kinds of funny little things that can happen when you're not very specific. But adding some things on the end, like for the greatest good, while I maintain my peace, salvation, wholeness, and privacy. That's one that I like. And safety, and also I say, when I say the greatest good of all, the greatest good, that's like, for the highest good of the collective, including family. And so, anywho's, think about that. Think about what you'd actually want. And it's ironically challenging to actually, once you realize you really can design your life any way you would want. It's like, well, what do I actually want? Like, do I want to have my kids full time, or do I like having the time during the day on some days to be able to get caught up at home? You know, what would I actually want? And for me, having regular adventures with a vehicle that would accommodate that, an easy way to pack up and go, that's definitely in my sights. And I know it's on the way. And it's coming at the perfect time. And it's going to work out perfectly for what we're looking to do. And it's going to be a great way where me and the boys can go and get out in the country, in the forest, in nature, and to get healthy doses of that while also living this really beautiful life that we already have going. So the future is amazing, and we get to create it. We get to pick it, you know. And yeah, don't just do it all for yourself, of course. Use the directive to create a ripple effect of good in the world. And once you know what your thing is, stick with it. Be blessed, be well, be free.